Okay, so I'm back. I'm John. This is R Cubed Studios, and we're on the second part of this Montgomery Wards Jewelry box build. I had talked about how I had sanded through the veneer because it was so thin, and I've been trying to figure out how to repair it. Well, luckily enough, a friend of mine happened to have some 3/32 birch plywood or sheeting that he wanted to get rid of. And so I took him up on the offer. And what I'm going to do is I've already cut it down to size. I've drawn a center line on it and a small center line on the box, on the back of the box lid here. And I'm going to put that on the top of this. And I haven't decided exactly how I want to do this. I think what I want to do is I want to bevel the edges down just to give it a little bit softer transition to the lid. Make it look like it's supposed to be there. Because as you can see here, this does have kind of a tapered down look. And I think that might be one of the best ways to do it. I mean, the entire box is stepped. So it got me thinking. So what I did was I was going to test some ideas on how to do this. So I've got a small chunk of this here. Nice thing about this stuff being so thin is you can just cut it with a utility knife, which is nice. Just takes a couple of passes and you're right through it, as long as you have a nice sharp blade. But then to bevel the edges, I thought I might use one of these little planes that I got from Harbor Freight. Now, these are inexpensive. You get 3 of them, and I have three different ones. They have a bullnose, or I'm not exactly sure exactly what to call this particular plane. I'll look it up and I'll tell you for sure. But it would be really good for getting into corners when you're doing finishing. That's one of the nice things about these tools is the sizes. They work really well for doing this type of work. But these aren't necessarily the best planes. To be truthful, about the only thing you should probably use these on is balsa wood. But I've been doing a little bit of modifying because I don't have a lot of money to work with. So I modify them to work for me. And one of the first things I did was I rounded them off so they felt a little better in the hand. And I'll leave a link to these in the description. They don't work bad, but you have to do a little bit of work on them to get them to work for you. Matter of fact, this one here, the blades do not keep an edge as they come out of the box. So I actually re-hardened these blades, and it's still not the best. It really doesn't keep a good edge. So I think what I'm going to do, is I'm going to replace the blades, and I might take an old circular saw blade and or something like that, or maybe just some water-cooled steel. Put a little bit thicker blade in it and harden that. If I find something that I like that I might do that with, I might even do a short video on how to do that. But anyway, I re-hardened this blade and resharpened it, which I'm still practicing on how to sharpen plane blades and chisels. I'm getting better though. But I'm not going to go into that. There's hundreds of videos of people showing how to sharpen plane blades and chisels. It's just a matter of I am not the person to teach that because I'm still learning myself. But anyway, I've gone ahead and resharpened this, and I was going to see how well this cuts this sheeting, this plywood, to get a to cut down the edges. And it's not doing too bad, and it would get me part of the way there. And I think what I'm probably just going to do is, since I don't have a router, which would probably be the easiest way to do it, is I've just got sandpaper on a wooden block. This was off of a piece that I got. I think it was supposed to be a file folder or dish rack, just made out of either bamboo or rubber wood. It's one of those cheap Pure One imports type of things. But for me, that's material. So I've just wrapped sandpaper around here and took one of the pieces that would have been in here like this and locked sandpaper into place, and I got myself a sanding block. So just got some 120 sandpaper in here. And I think what I'll do is I'll come back through then, after I get the profile that I want, and come back through with some 220 and then maybe even some 400. And I'm showing you this on this because I still haven't decided. I may leave the edges square, but it'll just be a matter of how this looks. So just something like that. And actually, that doesn't look too bad. So I'll just make sure what I will do then is I will take a pencil and I will mark in a line where I want my edge to be. I'll do it straighter than this. I'll use a straight edge. And that's where that's how I'll set my angle of what I want, because I think if we get this on here, I think beveling the edges is going to look nicer. And with it being, in grain and stuff, it might give us some nice contrast when we stain this. To give a nice line around the outside edge of this. So I still have sanding to do on the rest of the box, but I don't want to do too much of it until I get this top piece beveled and glued into place. And when I glue this into place, I'm just going to use some wood glue, and I've got a Ziploc bag of pennies that works good for weights, because you can't really spend it on anything because they're pennies, but they make nice weights, especially on stuff this small. I don't have a lot of clamps to get in on something like this, so that's where we're going to go with that. I'll continue working on this, and if you can, if you're going to do some small work like this, you can get these from Harbor Freight. Otherwise, I found some on Hobby Lobby, or not Hobby Lobby, excuse me, AliExpress. Sorry about that. That are not bad. Basically, these are almost like luthier planes. Luthiers, guitar makers, violin makers, they use these when they're making the stays and things on the insides of the guitars and violins and stuff like that. And they're nice small ones. And to get the really good ones of those are several $100s a piece for a little tool like this. But since I'm not making fine instruments and things like that, I'll make do with what I can. And if nothing else, polished up, these kind of look nice sitting on the bench. So, but for now, these are going to be a tool for me. So, and then I also found this old small block plane at a local antique store. I'm thinking this was one that was meant to be out of a child's toolbox, but I'm not sure. This one doesn't have a manufacturer on it, but I have been able to get a fairly decent edge on it, and right now I think it's out a little bit, but we'll see here. No, maybe I should use that one. That came up pretty good. It does feel like the blade's out a little bit on it, but those are some options. When it comes to looking for tools and stuff like that, you can do tools fairly inexpensively by looking at antique stores, garage sales, Goodwill. Just like I picked up my cordless drill that I got restored. I've actually got a couple of them here. I got the one that I just showed you on that previous one, and it's working nice, and the jaws work real well. This one here is actually a Craftsman. Neat thing about this one is you can do a little bit heavier stuff because you can put it up against your head, against your chest, and operate it this way. I still need to tear the chuck apart on this one, but I'll need some pin pliers to be able to get the chuck apart to work on it. But in the meantime, it's working pretty well. This one's a neat one because it actually has storage in the handle for drill bits. And for smaller holes and stuff, these work just fine, and they're quiet. So and as you probably, maybe if you've looked around in the background and everything, sorry my shop's a mess, but I've been going through some changes. So I hope to get it cleaned up and a little more manageable. I just moved over here not that long ago, so I'm going to try and get it cleaned up a little bit better and a little bit more organized. And I don't have all the fancy storage that some of the people you'll see on YouTube do, but I make do with what I can. And one of the ones I just got was this, which I think was meant for sheet music, but mounted it on a old piece of countertop with some casters on it, and I think I paid $15 for it, and it's working out pretty well for me. I like it because it can also add to the side of my table here. So I'm going to go ahead and keep working away. Hopefully in the next video here I'll have that finished and glued up and ready to go, and hopefully we should be ready for staining. And I'm going to go ahead and keep working on the inside of the lid and start getting layout. I'll probably get some pieces cut out for the trays for the interiors and some of that stuff, just to kind of show you where I go from there. So yeah, so we'll see you next time, and have a happy new year. Bye.